Hey everybody, Jake here from Client Time Photography, and welcome back to the channel. So this is part three of the O1 F150 rig walk around. I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been putting this video off for just a little while because I just get excited. Like we've changed literally so much in the truck, and there's just been so many additions and so much going on that we've we just changed a lot of stuff. And I'm just having a great time with it. And the other day I was finally sat down and thought to myself, okay, I know a lot of people have been asking, we got to finally do a rig walk around, give everybody updates and let everybody know kind of what's going on, what we changed. From what I've understood, this build is apparently is getting a little bit more popular. I'm starting to see them a little bit more and more, which is really exciting. It's cool. It's always cool seeing someone with similar hobbies and similar needs and stuff like that, and just people ask me questions about what we do for certain things, and that's really what still to this day really excites me is just bringing all that information, knowledge, and everything to you guys. We've also teamed up with some really cool companies. You know, Baja Designs, they've been awesome. If you've been following the channel, you know about that. Bad Luck Overland, Step 22, Trigger Wireless Controllers, Boulder Tools. You know, all these companies have been just completely awesome in supporting us and going through the transition and helping us really get the Ford just dialed in. And I will say it has not stopped yet. We are still have some more stuff that is coming up, and you guys will get some hints on that. So, with that being said, let's start our walk around. All right. So, if you remember part two of our O1 F150 build, you remember how we kind of did everything in order. We went from the front and then kind of worked our way back and all the way around the truck. So I thought it'd actually be kind of cool to try and duplicate all those same angles and all those same shots and do everything in kind of the same exact order. So that way you can really just kind of compare the two videos and really see for yourself just how much everything has changed and how far the truck has really come along. So with that being said, first order of business that we talked about last time was the bed liner. Obviously, the bed liner is still on here. That has not changed. It's still very much got that nice texture to it. We've beaten the crap out of this truck, and the bed liner I think is going on, I want to say about 4 years now, and it's been great. I think it's probably one of my favorite things that we've done to the truck, and it's just been really incredible. It's easy to clean. I don't have to worry about scratching the truck or anything like that anymore. We got a couple of chips in some areas where we've kind of beaten the truck a little bit, and it's kind of got a couple spots shown, but for the most part, it's held out just incredible. So if you're thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different and trying to if you're using your rig and it's scratched up and stuff like that, I would definitely really consider doing something like this. Alrighty, so we talked about the front bumper on part two. Now, if you remember, we were going to make some changes. So Nicole and we came together and we actually started doing some welding. We added in this wraparound tube uh, frame here. Really kind of helps protect the front end, especially when we have brush and we're kind of blasting through like really like heavy, like brushy areas and everything like that. That's been working amazing. Another thing we did was back behind here, we box plated the rear of the bumper so that way when we're going through mud and stuff like that, it's not getting packed into here anymore, which was a little bit of a pain in the butt when we were trying to clean the truck because we'd be just cleaning this out every single time. It kind of sucked. Another thing, if you've been following the channel, you know that we are now running Baja Design lights everywhere. We are running some SAE squadrons. They are completely street legal and they are perfect for on-road applications. Let's see here. What else did we change? The bar that we had going across here, we took off. We didn't really need it anymore because obviously we have our main protection right here. We did remount the winch controller here. This was a great little addition because it really just kind of made getting to the winch controller a lot easier. Originally, the winch controller was way back in here inside the bumper, and it was just a pain in the butt to get to. So we remounted it right here, extended all the wiring and everything like that, and that's been serving us really well. Another thing we did was we were running a Badlands winch for a while. Well, if you know anything about Badlands, that winch broke. It's from Harbor Freight. Had I done more research at the time, I would have found out that I could have literally just spent an extra $50 and just got one of these nicer winches, as opposed to just getting a crappier one the first time around. But that's just how it goes. You live and you learn. So we're running a Smittybilt XRC winch now, and then it's also running a synthetic cable, which is really nice because we really don't use our winch a whole lot. There's been a couple times we've used it, and it's actually been to help out other people. So the synthetic line is really kind of nice because it's just a lot lighter. We don't really need to run steel cable. If this was a recovery rig and we were going on some crazy trails or anything like that, I probably would run steel cable, but we typically don't get into anything super gnarly. So the synthetic cable has definitely been a great little addition. And then, of course, we had a synthetic winch fair lead here as well, just to get rid of that other one. But yeah, so far she's been holding up pretty good. What I'd actually like to change, remember we talked about this in part 2, if I'd like to change certain things around the vehicle. I'm thinking about doing a tube bumper style now. Kind of similar to like a pre-runner one, but having a tube that runs around to the front and then maybe some cross beams coming up and then across like this. The main reason being the truck's getting heavy. So I'm going to try and I think do tube bumpers and kind of go that route so I can try and just save some weight in some areas. And the other thing too was that way we get a little bit of a better approach angle here at our corners. Right now, the bumper kind of comes down right here. If we do tubes, we basically free up almost all this space right here and just give us a really better approach angle. But having said that, this bumper has been really nice. I've enjoyed it, especially since we've been able to make the changes and everything like else. Especially we made it a lot cleaner bringing it up here on the sides. And just making it kind of flush and just really just kind of matching the contour of the grill here. But it's been a heck of a time. All right, so the engine compartment. So you guys all know when it comes to engines and transmissions, I usually the mindset I've kind of held is that I usually try and keep everything just as stock as I can, because it seems like if you keep it stock and keep everything, factory, it usually ends up lasting a lot longer. I wanted to try and keep the truck as reliable and as versatile as I possibly can. Having said that, though, there was one little change I did make that has been a huge improvement for us, and that was actually switching back to a closed air intake system. If you remember, we had the cane in here, it was all open, didn't have a box or anything on it. That got dirty very fast. I tried a couple different things. I tried the little sock that goes over the air filter. It was still getting dirty. So what I found was this company called Volant, and they make an air intake system for the Ford. And so far it has worked phenomenal. We don't have to change out we don't have to clean the air filter as much anymore. And it just really helps to kind of keep the truck running good, especially because there's so much, we go to the desert a lot and we have dust and everything like that. So the last thing you want is dust getting through the air filter and down into your intake. Something else we added, we started running some glow shift gauges. Those have been really, really nice. I wanted to really just get extra information coming out of the truck. I tried doing an OBD reader for a little while, and those worked okay. I was only able to get minimal information. Fortunately, I figured out that these engines or models of trucks also didn't really come with a whole lot of sensors attached to them. So that's one thing with the OBDs, is you have to have the sensors already in place to be able to read the codes and get the information. So that's why with the glow shift gauges, you have to put in adapters and put in things to be able to get that information. So currently we have coolant temperature and transmission temperature. Soon I'm going to be next oil change, have readings for oil pressure and oil temperature. Just really nice to have all that extra information, especially because we're off-roading our trucks. A lot of times they're really heavy, and then just putting them through all those conditions and everything like that, it's just nice to have that additional information. Something else I added as well, and I'm actually really proud of this because it's simple, is engine compartment lighting. Really nice to have. Mostly because I cannot tell you how many times I'll hear something or I just want to check on the truck, and of course it's dark every time that seems to happen. And I come in here, and of course the engine compartment's completely dark except for this little light that it comes with. So this, having that is really nice because you can literally just flip a switch and then it lights up the whole engine compartment, and I don't really need to worry about carrying around a headlamp or a flashlight or anything like that. Especially with myself, I like to check on the truck a lot just to make sure it's running good, you know, listen for anything, see if anything's off or anything like that. Now, what I'd like to change. Honestly, when it comes to the engine on the truck, it's really nice. You know, it's a crate engine. It's only got, I think, 30,000 miles on it so far, and then same thing with the transmission. I put 456 gears, and that's really helped out a lot with the weight of the vehicle as well as fuel economy. I really wouldn't want to change a whole lot. I mean, the only thing I could think of later on down the road is maybe put like a 5.0 or maybe put like even a diesel engine in it, but that'd be like way down the line, and if we added a lot more extra weight to the truck. But so far, as far as what I'd like to change, it's still solid, it's still running good. All right, so let's talk tires and front suspension. So you remember from our last video, we were running a 35-inch Nitto Terragrappler tire. Since then, we've actually stepped down to a 32-inch, and that has actually offered us a lot more functionality than I'd really even realized until we switched over to it. One, because it gives us a lot better fuel range. We were running that 35, and I want to say our fuel range was about when we went to a mud train, it was definitely, I think, like 200 miles. Now our fuel range is up to right around 300, so it gave us a lot more range, which is definitely really nice for our longer trips, especially when we're doing 17 plus day trips and going almost 4,000 miles sometimes on a trip. The other thing too was by going down a tire size, I was actually able to take our spare tire up off of our front roof rack. This also was huge, which we'll talk about later as well. I was able to get some of that weight off the racks and down low where I kind of want it. Everything that, again, we were trying to go into the saving weight and kind of adjusting weights on the truck. That's something that I'm trying to do, is take a lot of the weight off the top of the truck and kind of bring it more down below, just kind of a lower center of gravity. Something else we were able to do, we did install those torsion bar relocators. You can see now, you don't see our torsion bars anymore as part two. So we were able to get the torsion bar relocators from Real Lift for our rough country lift kit. Those have been nice, definitely, because we really got those bars just kind of tucked into the frame right where I really need them, because we were getting caught up on the torsion bars and the drop down bracket quite a bit. So that made a huge improvement. Something else we did, we got some BTF, local company makes upper control arms for the Ford with Heims and a Uniball. So we switched over to that as well. That was definitely really nice, because the upper control arms on this truck, I've been going through quite a bit. I've been replacing upper control arms, it seems like almost every year for this truck, and just wearing them out, and then they haven't been lasting at all. With these guys, they've been lasting, and they've been super awesome. Something else we changed, I took out the rubber matting. I tried that for a little while, tried to make it work, and it wasn't really working, so I kind of went back to the basics and went back to the drawing board. I ordered the stock fender wells for the truck, and I was able to just kind of cut them and then kind of just get them stuck in here and really make them fit for what I needed. I definitely wanted to run an inner fender well because, as you know, the ignition coils on this truck are very prone to getting wet, and if you can keep your mats in here, you definitely want to do so. So we were able to just kind of get the inner fender wells in here, cut it to work, and so far we have not had a single problem. And not to mention, I'll be honest with you, it looks a lot cleaner with this inner fender well that's supposed to be in here as opposed to those rubber mats and everything else. So, yeah, it's definitely been a great little addition. I would really actually like to do is get rid of our torsion bars and then do a full mid-travel kit on the truck. Um, and a lot of people say, okay, well, why don't you just do a long travel? H&M, I think, still makes one. There's a couple companies. I think Camber might still make one. There's a couple companies that still do. But the biggest problem for me with a long travel kit is, yes, it's perfect for out here in the desert. But as we found out, when you go up to Oregon and Washington, the trails are a lot tighter. So you can't have a really wide vehicle. So that's why I'm trying to find or at least figure out somebody to build me a mid-travel kit for this truck. I would build it myself, but I know my welding capabilities and I do not have the experience to build something that sophisticated yet. Um, we would need a lot of changes to the truck to be able to do something like that. So unfortunately, I will probably have to find someone to build it for me, but it would really be a nice addition only because we can kind of get rid of some stuff. We can get rid of the torsion bars. Um, I know just from looking at kits and looking at like what I've seen is they would have to bring the upper and lower control arms out anyway. So I could probably get rid of these wheel spacers, which I hate running wheel spacers, but that was something that I didn't think about on my part with doing this setup was the fact that I would have to run wheel spacers, but it would get rid of the wheel spacers so that way maybe we could run this the rim and the hub just right together and not have that problem anymore. Because I do notice it seems like I'm going through wheel hubs a lot faster, and that was another problem about running bigger tires as well as we're going through wheel hubs a lot quicker. But that would definitely be something I'd like to change. All right, so let's talk racks. So our ARB roof rack has actually probably been one of the other few things besides the bed liner that stayed on the truck the entire time since part two. So the roof racks, they've been really awesome. They've held up, they've been strong. I have had zero problems with them. The mounting solutions, our brackets, they're holding up strong too. Um, the only thing though, and this is something that is going to just kind of dive right into the what I'd like to change, um, the weight. The racks are very heavy. This front rack, if I remember we talked about last time in part two, is like 60 pounds, and the rear I want to say is like 80. So they are definitely very heavy. So the thing that I actually really would like to do is change the racks. And I actually am building these. We're in the process of working on these here in a bit, and hopefully they're going to start coming together here soon, and you guys will be able to get a little bit of a. Actually, well, what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of a teaser now. Since you guys have made it this far through the video, this is a little treat for you. I will be. The company probably is, I'll give you a hint on the lights. The lights are probably going to be from a company that we are probably a brand ambassador for right now, currently. If that gives you an idea. I will say that there's going to be plates on the sides. There's going to be cross members going across, and those are going to be aluminum. So that way we can bring down our rack a little bit lower and then kind of decrease that weight. I'm hoping by the time I'm done with building the rack that I'm going to build, it's going to weigh maybe 40 pounds. And then the other thing we're going to do is there's going to be a lot of lights going across the front. And then we're going to have some flush mounts on the side. So that'll give you a little bit of a teaser if you can kind of put that into your mind of perception and kind of get an idea of what it's going to be like. That's what it's going to look like. So I'm not going to give any big reveals, but those are some hints for you. Uh, let's talk about some other stuff. Okay, so rear storage. Obviously, this has changed a little bit since the last time you guys have seen it. If I remember correctly, what we had going on was a platform that went flat all the way across, and then I believe we were using a Arctic cooler in the fridge, and that's how we were keeping stuff cold. So I had a couple problems with that. One was that it was falling apart. I found out that it is a lot easier when you're building these rear storage compartments and doing seat deletes that it's a lot easier to just get bigger pieces of wood and then screw them together, as opposed to getting and building like a frame and then screwing all of the panels into the frame. It's just much easier to just get larger pieces of wood and just put them together. So we fixed that problem. Another thing was that we wanted to add in a fridge. Fridge obviously makes it really easy for cooking. You don't have to worry about your stuff getting wet. You don't have to worry about it getting worn because it's constantly running. As long as your battery doesn't die, it offers a lot of benefits. So the one thing with the fridge though was we wanted to run a dual battery system. That I did install myself, and so far it's been working phenomenal. We've added a bunch of other systems since then. We now have solar, we have the dual battery system, we have all kinds of stuff in there. Low voltage disconnect, an inverter, fuse blocks. We also have our trigger controllers, wireless controller that we use for controlling all the lights and everything like that. If you've seen my recent video on the trigger controller, wireless controller 6-shooter, you guys will know exactly what that does. That offers some really cool features. What else do we have in there? Basically, just a ton of different systems and a lot of stuff going on. But it's definitely made our camping a lot easier. The platform also gave us storage over on the other side. And then in the middle, as you saw, was all the electrical systems and everything going on in there. Down here below, we also added, this is our little dry storage here. That's, again, really nice to have. We kind of needed a little bit more storage, so we kept that in there. And then we also have a first aid kit there in the back. So rear compartment has definitely come a long way, and we're definitely super proud of it. As far as what I'd like to change, so far it's been working phenomenal. There's been the only downside of having this system is there has been those couple of occasions where we wanted to bring like maybe a couple people along with us or anything like that, and obviously we can't do it with this because we just took the seats out. So there is the occasional time that happens, but so far this has been working great, and we're planning on, I think, keeping it for a long time. This has probably been one of my personal favorites. Something that also required a lot of work was the interior front. We had a lot of different changes up here, a lot of stuff going on. To start it all off, you can see obviously we have our center console right here. So the O1F, the truck when it originally came with was the one seat here, single, and then there was a bench seat that went across. I took out the bench seat, found another one of these bucket seats and put that in over here. So then we could add the center console right here. This has been really, really nice because it just really makes it easier for us traveling around and having all of our accessories and everything right here. To give you a little bit of a rundown, so we have our trigger controllers, switch controllers right here for all of our lights, everything right here. We also have all of our switches. We're literally using every single one of these. We have our electronics for all the stuff that power ports and everything, dual battery, auxiliary battery voltage, radio, backup lights, all the lights that are underneath the truck that kind of light everything up, winch, inverter. Here is our, if you hear that, that is our Blue Sea MLACR. That's what turns the isolator on so we can start charging the battery. So the alternator, when we're running the truck, it's charging the dual battery system. Tire pressure monitoring system, DC voltage ports. I had my buddy over at Lay's Designs. He printed these up for us. Oops. He printed these up for us. These are cell phone holders, so we can literally just take our cell phones and then drop them into these slots, and they hold our cell phones really nice. Radio, I think we already talked about. AC charging. This is really nice, especially for the iPad, because the iPads take a while to charge if you charge them through DC, so the AC helps them charge a lot faster. Cup holders in here. This is all storage. Camera holders, because as you know, we take a lot of pictures, so our cameras literally just drop into these slots right here, and then we can take them in and out. And then below that, we have the winch controller, and then a couple other things hidden down in here, because this flips up. Coming up front here, I built this myself. This is a little like just dash mount that we use for all of our mounting stuff. So I have the iPad mounted right here so the passenger can look at the iPad and route us if we need to. Microphone holder here, and then our phone holder here. We added a backup camera up here, and then that way, because obviously we can't see anything with the shell on because it's tinted and the rear glass is tinted. Something that I really started kind of didn't really know that I was going to get into until I started finally just really wanting to make the truck look nice and clean was the paint and everything like that. So when we painted the Ford, everything in here was gray, believe it or not. So the outside of the truck was tan, everything in here was gray, and then all the trim that you can see, I think like right here in that corner, that was all white as well. So I wanted to make everything look nice and kind of start matching everything. So slowly but surely, I started kind of taking all the plastics out, kind of painting everything, and it's definitely been a long process. But finally, everything is officially like the right colors in here, and it actually looks really nice. It was something I didn't really think about until I started doing this project that I probably should have thought about when I painted the truck because the interior and everything was gray, so we had to literally change absolutely everything in order to make it just kind of look nice. Another thing that we did on the floors is we took out the carpet and added in this rubber carpeting system. I forget who makes it, but this has actually been really, really nice because it makes cleaning the truck a lot easier. It's the carpet, as you know, carpet with dirt and everything like that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but with this rubberized floor matting on the bottom, it definitely makes it really, really nice and easy to clean. Um, been really happy with this. Finally, actually, we just did the heater core. When I did the heater core, I finally painted the dash, and that was officially one of the last things that needs to get painted. The last thing is going to be the steering wheel and then the console and everything like that. But that was huge. As anybody knows, heater cores are very fun to do on these trucks, and then as well as just getting them out in that whole process. And then we added painting into it too to make it a little bit more interesting. But so far, the cab has been pretty close to, I think, actually being done now. There's couple little small details we're going to change, but so far it's actually, I think, almost officially done. As far as what I would change, the only thing left to change is this gray steering wheel. And then, of course, that's going to be coming up here shortly. So now let's talk about awnings. So as you can see, we got rid of our ARB awning. So we had a couple problems with that. One, the awning was a little bit of a pain in the butt to set up by yourself. Uh, Two, the construction was actually pretty light. So every time we brought it out, I really was kind of afraid of breaking it. And again, the setup was a little bit of a pain. So we ended up settling up with this Overland Vehicle Systems awning, and it's a 270-degree awning, and it has worked incredible. Super easy to set up. Um, Definitely super strong. Just looking at the supports, looking at the way it's designed, built, and everything like that, you can tell it's just super solid and just super strong. Um, we have had no problems with that awning at all, especially with the ease up time. We basically do like I told you time and time again, a lot of point to point camping, and having a nice and fast setup is crucial for us. Some other new additions. You saw on part two, we had our little stove holder right here. We were using a Coleman stove for a little while. We got rid of that stove. Uh, that stove it worked good for our first, when we were kind of getting into camping and, we kind of were trying to make it work. It was a pain in the butt to clean. Um, that was one of the problems with it. Uh, we was using the green tanks too, so that was a little bit of a problem as well because when it's really cold, obviously the green tanks don't work very good, those little small guys. But something that actually was really cool that I enjoyed was I actually took this carrier for our old Coleman stove and I actually incorporated it into our scuttle. So if you see here, the heat shielding all the way around the scuttle is actually from that old camp stove holder that used to be on the top of the truck. And this now is if you've been following the channel, you know this is our new way of cooking. And it has been far exceeded any and all expectations I've ever had. I built this myself. It's been great to use, and I'm super glad that I did because it's been really, really nice. It has completely changed the way that we cook. It's easy to set up, it's fast, it's easy to clean. We now run a little, I think it's like a gallon and a half tank or something like. I think it might be a 3 gallon tank, propane tank, and that has worked really good because it doesn't really freeze as easily, and you don't have those problems at colder temperatures, which is crucial for these things. So it's been a little bit of a new experience for us, just kind of getting used to it and getting used to the new things and stuff like that. But it's definitely something that's really nice to have. We kind of actually made some little accessories for it too to kind of help us with cooking. Like we have a little paper towel holder right here that we actually just got at I think we got like Home Depot or something like that for having our paper towels, which we need to switch to shop towels. That's another cool little Overland hack that I found out about recently. Um, and then the other thing we did was we built this little carrier for all of our seasonings and everything like that. So we have our avocado oil here. We'll throw some seasonings in here, and then we'll hang like our spatulas and everything else right there. Now, another cool little feature on this side of the truck. We talked a little bit about solar, right? So my buddy Tony, if you know him, he's the owner of Bad Luck Overland and then also Adventure Power Solutions. He helped us out with figuring out our solar system. So we ran into a problem where we were going and doing some longer trips, and occasionally we would stay in one place for a little while. Now, the problem with staying in one place is with the way our dual battery system was designed was to charge through the alternator. Well, if you're in one place, you're not running the truck, so you're not charging your battery system. So Tony actually helped us out a ton with our solar setup. Originally, I wanted to do panels up below the rack, a panel below the front rack, and then maybe do like one of those sticky hood panels and do that on the top of the hood. He talked me all of that. He told me, "Hey, let's do a portable panel," and I wasn't really sure whether or not that would be a good solution or not for us. So I was like, all right, well, let's do a portable panel. Let's give it a shot. And that has been incredible. And I will show you why. Check this out. And there you have it. Super easy setup. Now, Tony's obviously been in the trade for a long time, so he knew what he was talking about. I kind of talked to him about my needs and everything like that. He kind of knew the direction to kind of give me as far as figuring out what's going to be the best solar option for us. This worked out, it still does, works out incredibly. Um, a lot of people don't realize with solar, you really have to be chasing the sun. If this is in the shade just a little bit, it decreases your efficiency by a ton. Um, the other thing we did as well was I had him make us, I think this was like a 25-foot cable. That way I can take this panel and I can move it all the way over there. I can move it over here. It gives us a lot of different ranges and a lot of different areas that we can move it. Whereas if it was just stuck to the hood or stuck underneath the racks or something like that, we're not able to change it and really able to chase the sun. Because that is really the best way to get effective solar charging is to chase the sun and constantly be, adjusting your panel as the sun is moving and everything like that. And you're not always going to have like the perfect spot that's going to be sunny either. A lot of times when we park our vehicles, they're usually trying to park them in the shade so we kind of keep them cool or we have some shade throughout the day. If you have panels all on your vehicle and you park in the shade, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of energy. But with this, we literally just take it over here, plug it into the side of the truck, plug it in here, and then I can move it anywhere I want in has worked amazing. So if you guys are thinking about doing solar or anything like that, give Tony a call over at Bad Luck Overland. That's his Instagram, and then his page. He's local down here in San Diego. Is Adventure Power Solutions. He's the guy. He's the man when it comes to anything solar related. So go check him out. You won't be disappointed. All right. So passenger side, talking about the racks, we've obviously changed a lot. Um, Gosh, where to start? So you remember the high lift jack was right here. Now it's up here. And here's the reason being. So I really started thinking about what was stronger, the rack over the cab versus the rack being over the shell. Well, the shell is fiberglass. The cab is obviously metal. The other thing I did too was when I built these mounts, I also made sure that they were as much to the outside as I could possibly make them, and then also did plates and did a lot of over engineering to make sure that this was really strong. So I really wanted to make sure that this could support a lot of weight. So what I did was I started gradually kind of moving everything that was heavier towards the front rack. So the high lift jack, obviously those can get very heavy. Another thing I moved was our blue Aquafina jug that's over there. We moved that up there. You know, that's carries 7 gallons of water. 7 times 8, what is that? That's 56 pounds right there. So I took that, moved that forward. So a lot of stuff that's really heavy, I try to put over the cab now. The other thing that's up here as well is we have some traction boards by Action Tracks. We also now carry a spare fluids box. And then over there, we also have I carry a jack stand. A lot of people, they like to just jack their vehicle up and then just completely rely on the jack. I've always been a big advocate of using jack stands. If at all possible, I usually try and use one. Another really cool feature that I'm actually really proud of. So you guys all remember how we had the collapsible ladder that I showed you guys from part 2 that was used to be back here in the bed, right? So check this out. We now have access to the top of our rack, which is really nice because it makes putting anything up there a lot easier. You know, I don't have to do this anymore where I have to lift up something with one hand and hold onto the truck and then throw it up there. I can simply just grab something and then just walk on up, and it's super easy. Some other changes that we did also while we were up there. Now we also have a wood bag. Something I found out, another little Overland hack, is that it's a lot easier to carry wood in a bag versus individual pieces. So we also carry 2 boxes. One of them, this box here, we use for carrying all of our shower stuff. The other one we use over here, that's for all of our spare propane. In case for whatever reason we use all the propane in our propane tank, or we need to throw something on a burner, we can do that as well with these smaller propane tanks. So as you can see, a lot has definitely changed. uh, the other thing I did talk about previously was really trying to get some of the things that are really heavy off the top of the truck and kind of getting them down low. So, and I actually modified our high lift jack. I cut it here, so now it's not so long. I measured it basically to where I need to just get the tire up off of the ground, and then that was it. And then shortened the handle and made the handle a little bit shorter. That way, it's a lot less heavier on our rack. The next thing, what I'd like to change, I'm looking at trying to figure out a different water solution, and then our road shower that we have. That obviously moved over to the other side as well. I'm looking at doing a different type of shower system. Maybe looking at a rinse kit, but we're going to see. I'm going to try and get that off of the top of the truck too, because that's really heavy. I'll be doing I would think shortly here, doing a review video on the road shower. But yeah, we're gonna make some changes, and really the main focus I think here next year is just trying to lighten up the truck. I think getting a lot of this heavy weight and heavy water storage and everything like that kind of down a little bit lower, and see if we can get it in here somewhere. Alrighty, so let's talk about rear suspension and that spare tire I was telling you guys about. So we finally, we were still running the Deaver leaf springs. We put in some Fox 2.0 shocks. Those definitely were working a heck of a lot better than those Rough Country 2.0s, which is crazy because you think that being the same size shock that they would be very similar in function and capability, but there's definitely a huge difference between the two. Something else, we talked about the spare tire. So I am now running a 30. I was able to fit, because we went down to a 32-inch tire as we talked about. I was able to put my spare tire, take it off my roof rack, and then put it back down here in between the frame where our spare tire goes. With some modifications, because technically I was concerned that the spare tire for this vehicle is technically supposed to be like a small, like 265, I think, some really small tire, and I wasn't too sure on what the a system, spare tire system that holds the spare tire up into the frame is rated for. I kind of went and just aired on the safe side and added in some chains and some other stuff. That's what that's all about, to kind of make sure, just in case, if at any all possible, that that tire should come off of that cable, or that cable breaks or anything like that, that the chains will catch the tire and it's not going to bounce down off the truck and then hurt somebody or anything like that. So that was kind of the purpose of all that. The one thing I will say though is, as you guys saw, you do have to put some exhaust wrap around, kind of near the kind of end of your exhaust there, because unfortunately the tire does sit really close to it, and if you aren't careful, I found it, luckily I found out pretty early, it was kind of starting to singe the side of the tire a little bit. But since I've done that, I've hadn't had a single problem with it at all. As far as upgrades go, or things I'd like to change, not very much, honestly. Since the rear suspension upgrade and doing the Fox 2.0s and the Deaver Springs, that combination's been really nice for this truck. It's been incredible, and I haven't really had any problems with it at all. So the rear suspension, I think, will probably be staying the same for probably quite a while. Alrighty, and just like last time, let's talk about the back of the truck, or as I should say it, where the magic happens. If you remember part two of this walk around video. So the tailgate storage, you guys all remember that? That was something I'm very proud of in the truck. We used to carry a lot of tools and really heavy stuff in the tailgate, and it really was making lifting this up and down kind of crappy. So I took out all the tools and took out all that stuff, and now our recovery gears here, it's all synthetic, so it definitely helped out with the weight of the tailgate. Another thing I did was we're only running one hydraulic jack now. We were running two, and for some reason, and whenever I lifted up the tailgate, it was like lifting it up and out of its socket. So we fixed that. Another thing was we did the Reflectix foil. That obviously really helped with keeping it warm back here in the back of the shell, and was just tremendous because you really lose a lot of heat. I didn't really realize until later on through the windows of the shell. So it stays very nice, warm, and cozy back here now. Something else you saw, we have our USB fan that we run up there. If you know anything about camping in shells or anything like that, it's really important to keep the air circulating in here. So we went ahead and we're using our USB fan now. We just basically put it in between the shell and the cab, and that kind of helps circulate the air. Something else I did was we rebuilt the our little storage area over here. So we do a lot of stuff back here, so having the charging ports and everything right here was definitely really crucial. Something else we were able to do recently was I added some strip lighting here. I changed it to a yellow just because kind of found out that apparently if you use a white light, it attracts a lot of bugs as opposed to if you use yellow lighting. And then we also put that on a dimmer switch right here and tied that into our awning. So every time that we want to have like a lot of light, we can basically put the awning out, turn on the lights, and then it basically lights up this whole area all the way around us. But yep, that's pretty much it, everybody. Like I said, I think it's been 2 years since the part two, so a lot of stuff here has definitely changed. We've been having a hell of a time with the truck. We've been building it, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and it's been a great time sharing it all with you guys. Thanks for being patient for the rig walk around video. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about it, and you've been anticipating when it's going to come out and everything like that. So I finally get to say it is finally here, and you guys finally get to see it. Um, Again, as always, if you guys ever have any questions on anything, um, please don't hesitate to ask. It is a little bit easier on Instagram if you guys ask me on there, because that way I could send you pictures and stuff like that too. Um, and then the whole point of this still hasn't changed. I still try and do this so that way people that aren't able to go out and have these kinds of experiences can see the videos and can kind of experience this stuff kind of, I don't know, kind of vicariously through us, if that makes any sense, you know. So I appreciate you guys all staying with us and staying. I was close. I appreciate you guys all staying with us and and appreciate all the feedback and everything that you guys have brought to us and everything like that. Um, Please don't forget to check us out on Instagram, and also please hit that subscribe button, send us any comments, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.